So now that we've been invited to the repository, we're going to simulate two members of the team working together. So the first step is for Pedro to log in and clone the repository he's been invited to his machine. So there's a repository he's been invited to. PH is him logged in. Let's clone it. Now we're going to clone it in this Tower Pedro folder. So we need to do our little trick, CD and drag in the folder to terminal. And now we've changed directory to terminal. PWD shows us where we are. And let's just copy in that clone command. And there we go. It's happening here. Didn't even ask me for a password this time. It may ask you for a password. Once it's stored, then you do it again, it won't ask you again, as long as you always allow it. So now we have the repository over here, and we are going to add it to the source tree set of bookmarks so we can use it from source tree. So let's open up source tree. Make sure local is selected, and let's go new, add existing local repository. Navigate to the one we just cloned, which is in Tower Pedro. Tower, that's the one. Okay, I can see I might have a little bit of confusion if I open another bookmark called Tower for Phil, but we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. So now we've got the repository configured in source tree. We can open it up and we can see that there has been an initial commit, which was when Philip J. Fry created the repository, and a commit where game files were added. Okay, the next step will be opening up the game in GameMaker as Pedro, doing some work, and then committing that work so that Phil can get it. We've opened up GameMaker, so let's start the game. Let's make sure we get the right one. We're acting as Pedro, so let's open up the tower game for Pedro. And so Pedro is going to just delete a few files here. So ones we don't want. We don't want animation curves, extensions, notes, sequences, shaders, and timelines. So let's delete all of those. No, we don't want to favorite them. We want to delete them. So let's unfavorite them and delete them. Okay, let's save and let's go into source tree. There's a couple of things I want to show you in source tree. First, I have actually renamed the bookmark. Look, you can do this by rename, and it will just rename it here in bookmarks, which is absolutely fantastic. We can already see there's an update here. The other thing I just want to show you is in accounts, in general, I've changed my full name and my email address to Pedro, so it's kind of tricking source tree into, when it makes the commit, it's going to use this name. So this could be anything. This could be like banana.com. Okay, so let's close that. Let's open up source tree, and we already see we've made a change. Here it is. So we're going to commit it. So we stage it, We write a commit message, deleted, unnecessary. How do you spell unnecessary? Okay, I cannot spell it. So deleted game files. And push changes to the origin immediately. So let's commit. When we go into the history view, we can see that the commit has been made. It says deleted game files. And then if we go into Bitbucket, we can see that Pedro has indeed made that commit. In the next step, we're going to switch user and do some work as Philip J. Fry. Let's open GameMaker again. And this time we're going to open Phil's game. So we are pretending to be Phil. So that is in test Bitbucket Tower Phil and Tower. Open the game. Now, a couple of things to observe. Phil has not yet got Pedro's changes, so he still has animation curves, extensions, and the rest in here. So when you are working as a team, every time you as an individual start your session of work, make sure you pull any changes that other team members have already posted to the Bitbucket central repository. Once you pull them, then it's safe to continue. If there's nothing to pull, then obviously you can just continue, but always check at the beginning of your work session whether there are changes to pull. So let's do that right now. Let's go into source tree, and I've set up the Tower Fill repository here. So I'm going to go into it. If I look at the history, it already tells me that I am one behind. I'm one commit behind. So someone has made a commit of deleted game files, but I haven't got it yet. So I need to do something called pulling. Up here, use the pull button and go, okay, this pulls the changes from the origin. And now it tells me, well, we're all up to date. So this means if I go back into GameMaker, I should see the changes that Pedro made. And I do. So we're all up to date. So now I'm going to make a change as Phil and push them up. So we are just going to create a sprite and attach it to an object. And now let's commit that work. Back into source tree. Uncommitted changes. So we need to go into a file view. We need to stage all our files. We need to write a commit message, added all sprite and object, push, check push changes immediately, and just commit. That will push everything. Let's quickly go into Bitbucket. We're logged in as Phil. Let's check the commits. Added ball sprite and object. We're all done by Philip J. Fry. Let's go back again. Nothing to commit. History says all up to date. And we're done. So we have done multiple commits by different members of the team. We've pulled those commits back down. We could always now log into the game as Pedro, do some more work and commit it, then go back in as Philip and pull it down again. But I think you get the idea by now. That concludes our video series on using source control management with Bitbucket and Source Tree in GameMaker Studio 2. We hope that your experience using SCM is both productive and profitable, and we look forward to seeing your games in the future.